Hi everyone, my name is Tamara Chambers and this is Tamara Just Saw, and tonight I went and saw Christopher Robin. So I grew up with Pooh and Tigger and Eeyore and Kanga and Drew and Rabbit and Owl and the 100-Acre Woods. I loved them growing up. They're very, very innocent, I guess is the word I would use. Very innocent. And I gotta say, I saw the trailer for this and I felt fear and terror in my heart. The design flaw of these beloved characters is, I think it's in the eyes. Somehow they're dead little lifeless eyes, and some of them don't have dead lifeless eyes. Rabbit and Owl are fine, but Pooh and Tigger have lifeless eyes. I think seeing the character design in the trailer didn't do the movie very much justice. However, seeing this film, I really enjoyed myself. It was very sweet, very innocent, very wholesome, just a feel-good, lovely, kind movie. The movie really reminded me of Saving Mr. Banks, which is a Disney film from 2013, I believe. And it's one that, I don't know if this is true or not, but in my mind it kind of started these live action Disney, more serious but still sweet and you know, light Disney films. It kind of started that for me in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really loved Saving Mr. Banks. And this had a similar tone. It was very sweet and lighthearted and kind and honest, but there were still some like sad, heavy things, but in the end everything was worked out because somebody stood up and did the right thing, which is lovely. I'm wearing a crop top just like Pooh, and I'm ready to talk about this film. So this is the story of Christopher Robin and all of the wonderful friends in the 100-Acre Wood. And Christopher Robin, at some point in his childhood, has to leave and go to boarding school, become an adult. He quickly learns the terrible ways of the world and that he should have definitely stayed in the 100-Acre Woods, where it was safe and lovely, and he had friends. No one has friends in the real world. His father passes away. He hates school. He's not allowed to be creative. He, though, gets out of school and he marries and he has a child and he finds a job and he goes off to war and comes back a different man and goes to a terrible job he doesn't love as a luggage salesman and is in a terrible predicament of being a high up in a luggage salesman job where he has to downsize the company to save the company. So they need to spend less money. It's also in a time where there's people of color and women in the workforce for the first time, to the point where the head honcho, like the very big boss, comes down and he's like trying to relate to everyone. He's like, oh, I hate my stuffy office up there and all of its gold. I'm a man's man. Oh, and a woman's. I forget that you're here. It's so new. it's cute. It's a cute like nod to the time. And so he's got to find a way to save the budget while also not having the boss lay off everyone of color and every woman in the job force, which is what they're kind of toying at and like playing at. He's also not able to go hang out with his family, spend time with his family. He's not allowed to hang with his fam, you know? Man, what a bummer. He's not able to spend time with his family, which he desperately wants to do and they desperately want of him. And so that's the conflict of the film. And that's where everything kind of starts from. During all of this happening, you still get flashes of Winnie-the-Pooh standing at the tree that he went through the last time, waiting for Christopher Robin to come back. It's very sweet. The very beginning of the film had all of the characters from the 100-Acre Woods giving a goodbye party to Christopher Robin before he left off to boarding school. And my God, did it it took me back, like in a way that I haven't felt in a long time. It took me back so nostalgically to Winnie-the-Pooh, and they all were so spot on with the characters. Like Piglet was so sweet and gave Christopher Robin a bag of acorns. It was like, this is my very favorite snack and it's to remember us by. It was just so cute. I never was brought to tears in the film, but the whole time I felt so welled up with nostalgia, and it was just completely sweet is how I will describe it, I guess. There's not a lot of uncomfortable or like stressful or like high stakes moments. The high stakes don't come from conflict, they come from just like, do the right thing. You know what I mean? I loved the cast in this. Ewan McGregor is one of my faves of all time. Even in the prequels, guys. Even in the prequels. There were definitely a few more human characters, but it's mostly just the characters in the 100 Acre Wood. I wish their eyes weren't so weird, because they do. They're pretty dead. Especially Pooh's and Tigger's. They really got to me. I think a lot of the others worked, but for some reason, Pooh's dead eyes will haunt me. And that's a sentence I never thought I'd say. All right. So in all of this conflict of the film, Pooh shows up for help because he's lost all of his friends in the 100 Acre Wood. And Christopher Robin sees him in London, and he's like, it's stress, because he's so stressed out from his conflict. And he's like, it's stress, and Pooh's like, it's not stress, it's Pooh. It's super sweet and super like lightly cute. Oh, at this point though, there was a grown ass adult man sitting next to me, like 7 seats down, and he straight up answers his phone in the middle of this movie like a crazy person. You don't do that. And then he spoke to this person loudly for 2 minutes, to the point where like 3 people behind us was like, shh, get off your phone, and oh my God. And I looked at him and finally built up the courage to give him some sass, because I really don't like conflict in real life. And so I looked at him, I was like, oh my God, dude, you've gotta stop talking. And like, he looked at me and like gave me a stink eye, and then closed it. He was like, I gotta go, man, and closed his phone, and was like in a terrible mood for the rest of the film. And I was like, how have you gotten this far in life, honestly? Anyways, Christopher Robin goes with Pooh to help find his friends. The rest of the film, it's very sweet. Christopher Robin goes and helps find Pooh's friends in the 100 Acre Woods. And before he leaves, Tigger takes all of his important papers for his proposal for the budget cuts and puts in some twigs, because Tigger is not great in this film. I always loved Tigger, but I was never like a die-hard Tigger fan. And he didn't win any points for me in this film, I'll say that. Eeyore, however, was a absolute delight. So he leaves, he goes back to London to save everyone's jobs, and he doesn't realize he doesn't have his papers, and the characters realize that he needs his papers, so they go and try to save him and get him back his papers. And then they meet his daughter, and it turns into more of the daughter hanging out with them, which it should have been more of. I feel like it should have been more of the daughter kind of going into the Christopher Robin role. It was a lot more centered around Christopher Robin, I think, now after thinking about it and watching it, than it should have been. So they go and they find Christopher Robin in his job. All in all, it all turns out. Then at the end, the boss thinks that that's a great idea, and the villain of the story is portrayed as like this evil huffalump who golfs, and I think we all know someone like that, just like an orange woozle who just golfs a lot, and it was really sweet. It was a very like kind of put together cookie cutter kind of ending that we all saw coming, but it was still lovely to watch, was still really nice to see come together. I knew it was going to come together, but it was really nice to see come together. You know what I mean? Throughout the film, there are 2 phrases that get thrown around a lot. It's that nothing leads to nothing, and then also nothing leads to the best something. And I really love, both of those, because I do honestly believe that nothing leads to nothing, but also, if you believe hard enough, nothing leads to the best something. It wasn't the best film that I've seen this year. I don't think you need to see it in the theater if it's not like your top priority. But if you grew up watching these characters, I think you're really gonna enjoy it. I do still, however, wish that Pooh had less menacing eyes. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? All in all, though, I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you do too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye! Oh, bother, you silly